Hi, this is Rosemary, and I'm going to be making a video on tips for napkin decoupage. Now, I know there's been many videos made, many tutorials made on napkin decoupage. So when I began, I saw one made by Sigta, and that was just the best video I saw, and it really inspired me. And so I began playing with napkin decoupage. Then I was so excited, I decided I was going to teach this paper group. So off I went. And after that experience, there were some little tips that came up when I was teaching this group. First of all, I told them they had to water their Mod Podge down. And people said, well, how much water do you put in? And I found through experiences, you know how when you get a jar or a glass, this is a small bowl, you rinse it out and let the water drip in, and you can kind of see it there. That is how much I started with. It's not very much water. Sigta describes it as creamy. Well, how do you get creamy? And then this one lady just nailed it, how much water? So I finally told her 1/8 of a teaspoon. So this is where I store my my Mod Podge. My favorite tool is a square brush, and I urge people to start working with tags. Tags are a wonderful way of playing and learning about Mod Podge. This is one of my early endeavors. And you're going to need some kind of plastic, acrylic plastic. So she used wrappers, and in my stash I had some page protectors, and that's what I decided. And this is, you can see it's a much used and beloved page protector, and what I did was I cut them in half, and you know there's 2 layers, and so it's just 1 layer. So I'm going to, and this technique, by the way, you can use, Sigta's technique is what I call it. You can use it for many different things. And I am right now preparing this dictionary page for a tag we're going to be making. So this is going to be a tag, and I'm just kind of letting it go on this. So one of the things I like is because it's a real fast way and getting a lot of coverage. You notice how the page, very quickly I covered it, and there it was. So again, you can use this technique or your solution here. So here we go. Here's my tag, and here's my napkin. This is one of the first napkins I bought. And I know a lot of people say, well, I can't afford it. Yeah. Well, when you're choosing a napkin, this one I went to Tuesday Morning, and I chose this napkin because of all the elements. It had birds, it had flowers, it had a dragonfly. So this is one of the ones I chose. So when I get, I have my tag, and you're going to have your napkin. Now your napkin, you have to, napkins have layers to them. And this Tuesday Morning usually has 3 ply. And so you can see them there. Now usually once I cut the napkins, I can get the layers. But I found a wonderful, I was watching a video by Crafty Irina, and she gets some Scotch tape, and she just goes to the edge, not where it's woven, and she pulls it, and the layers will come out on that. So you play with that, and of course because I'm on video, it's not going to cooperate. But in any case, that tape technique really does work. So how do you know if you've gotten all your layers? Some napkins have 3 layers or 3 ply, some have 2 layers. You see how it's kind of very translucent. If it looks a little bit thick, there might be another layer, but you have to get this. So when I start at the middle, and I start brushing out. You notice how I'm brushing out? And I found that that seemed to be very, it worked very well. And the other thing is, how much Mod Podge? Well, it's kind of like the 3 bears. Not too much and not too little. Some of you, as you're watching this, are going to say, oh, that's a lot. You don't want it to be drying. One of the ladies I worked with, she was having a conversation and drawing, and it wasn't working for her. Now, with Sigtas, you notice how you press, it's like a rub-on sticker. You rub it on, and then you peel it off. Now, if, say, one of your edges, you're doing this, and it's sticking, just go to one of the other 4 edges, and there it goes. Now, there you see it. A little bit of overlap. I don't worry about that. I'm going to be cutting that a little bit later. Now, this is another real key point here. When I was teaching this, I found that some ladies, their paper was sticking. The first couple went really well, and then they were very frustrated because it was sticking. What happened was, you have to clean it. You have to clean your page protectors between it. So I usually have, you know, one of these little wipes, and I try to make my wipes last a long time. So you notice there's a glass of water here. There's a reason for that. So you will see I'm wiping it off, and then you know these napkin layers that you take off, I use them to dry. And this is really kind of critical to do this cleaning part in between. It doesn't take very much. And sometimes I will say, just turn them over, and that way it's dried and it is ready to go. So if they're sticking and you've done everything, clean your plastic. I think that's almost a very critical part to it. So here is a napkin, and you notice it is not perfect like my other one. Well, one of the things I kind of encourage people is to start making some collages with your napkin. They do not have to be perfect scenes every time. So you can see I'm pulling out that layer, and this is a square, and you can see now that how this dictionary is going to go into play. So again, turn it over. It has to be facing down. Start with your Mod Podge. And like I said, it moves pretty fast with that square brush. You can hear my dogs in the background. Nothing like they act like little kids. Okay, so there you go. And let's hope, I always hope. And you notice it's not really on an edge this time. I'm putting it kind of, middle there. And I'm not really too worried. You can see my edge went over. If your edge goes over, don't worry, because there's always ways of fixing it. And then I pull it off. And you can see, I think it's sometimes a really nice effect when you can have the print showing through. So again, wipe it down, real important, and you will get some very nice effects without having to have this frustration. And then dry it off real quick, and you're ready to go to the next step. Now, this tag that I have, as I'm wiping it down, I'm going to make a small collage with this. And so I decided my early ones, I'm going to put a doily, because I'm working on improving my layering. And so my first example of putting a doily in, can you see my doily? Right here, this technique. By the way, this technique is wonderful for gluing doilies. Unfortunately, it blended into my background. It's a nice effect if you like it, but I want a little bit more contrast. So I went and got my colored doilies, and I said, oh, this color, it's too busy. So what I did was I turned it over. These are some Michaels doilies I was gifted with, and I used some pale pink, or pale paint, excuse me, and I rubbed it on. And so I said, oh, this is kind of more the effect I want, so I'm going to put a doily on this. And so, again, there I went, and again, it's like Goldilocks, not too much, not too little. It's like you're painting. And I hope I'm staying in view. And this, I decided I was just going to add it down here at the bottom. And there it went. And you can see, oh, okay, that looks okay. So you're saying, oh, that's nice, but you know, you still have some spots there that aren't covered. Yeah, that's true. So you have to make some decisions on what you're looking for in your tag. Now, I'm going to leave this blank because I can put a quote there if I want. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do. I might leave it plain. I might put a stamp in there. Don't know. But look at the top and that right edge. So let me reach for my scissors. Okay, this is a piece of scrap. And most people would discard that, but not me. I'm going to put, I'm going to cut a square from here. And I'm going to put a square from here. All right, just these two little scraps. And I'm going to fill in that rectangle. So turn them over, upside down. Get out my the process there. And when they're this small, I can do almost two at once. It doesn't matter. So, okay. I want, in this little rectangle, to put like a little bit of edging of the flower there. So I'm just going to aim and hope everything is okay. I don't cover the bird, etc. And there, I lift it up. Oh, there you see, just an edging. And then I want a little bit of green there. Again, hoping I don't want to cover the dragonfly, but I just want to do this. And you can see, and if I'm not very happy with that, see this that I cut off from the edge, I can just put some right there. And oops, doesn't want to stick with me today. It's stuck to my finger. But in any case, I can, it's kind of filled it in. Now you're wondering about this right here. Well, I happen to cut a piece right here, and I'm going to say, I don't think it has, did I take off? I don't know if I have, but some of you may wonder what happens when you don't take off the edge. Well, sometimes when you're doing this, it's going to come off naturally. And you notice I'm going to, again, clean it. I really want to stress that and the drying, because that makes, I think that's a really kind of important trick to this. So, all right, you're wondering about this little strip, just this strip. Why is she bothering with this? So, here we go. And I know that has the original layers, but I'm going to put it in. Now you notice here it is, you can see the strip, and it's going to cover this little area. So here it goes. Oops, I started sliding away. Don't worry, this is one of the things about Napkin Decoupage, it's very forgiving. Now, there you see, I have my tag. I have basically collaged it from pieces of napkins. And I think there's a little bit more interest. Let me wipe my tape, my Mod Podge, so I can kind of show you the effects of these. So this was probably one of my first tags I ever made. There it is, right there. And I did a little stamping and the doily. And again, don't worry about this because it will dry in a very short time. And I'm fussing. And I will tell you, don't fuss with Napkin Decoupage. Don't fuss with it. It will just kind of work out. This is the original one that I made just with one page of napkin. And it's very pretty. Very pretty. This is, okay, odds and ends that I'm sure most people would have thrown away. So I urge people to play with your napkin decoupage. So what do I mean by plain? So let me put these to the side. When I play with napkins, I cut them apart. This is a napkin, and let me reach way over here. Sorry about that. But when you have this, I really invested on this napkin. This was kind of an expensive one. I fell in love with this drop of flowers, the hummingbird, this little border down here, and this right here. So this, even though it was a little bit more expensive, I knew I could use this, and I love the colors. So this is what I did with this. This is a small little pocket. I cut it, and this pink is also the border of another napkin. It's a pocket made out of a book page, and it's ready. I don't know, use it as a gift. Oops. And it will fit in here. But before I put it in, this is another napkin. I am going to show you. This is this napkin right here. You notice how I cut around the edges. And I usually cut it when it is, with all its layers. I just, fussy cut. Some people want a fussy cut and some don't, and that's fine. But you notice I just kind of cut around the edges. Here's the actual part I glued on, and I glued it on a dictionary page. This is a piece from some wrapping paper. And you know how I put the edges, that little edge that I had left over? This is an edge that I had left over from a napkin. And there was this spot here. Sometimes your napkins are too short. Piece of ribbon. So play with your napkins. And again, people will say, what about the selection? This is what I like to do. This is my favorite, so I haven't given it away. And it is a wonderful gift for someone. It would look wonderful in a journal. So what do I mean by plain? Plain, I mean start cutting around the edges. And you don't know what you're going to do. This one, you see these little flowers at the edge? I love to use them at the bottom of a page. So play with your napkins and create. You can use them journal page, tags. This is a napkin I bought at Michael's. And this is what I mean by getting a napkin with many possibilities. You have the rose right here, all these individual flowers. So when you're looking for your napkin, see what you can find that, first of all, your colors, and look at, there's a butterfly and many possibilities with them. So again, as you play with napkin decoupage, I hope those tricks about water, and by the way, as soon as my brush, I put it in water, how much to dilute your Mod Podge. By the way, if you use it straight from the jar, I found that it was too sticky. Use Crafty Arena technique, and it's one layer. I like using book pages underneath. You don't have to. I like using doilies, and play and cut apart your napkins. So again, it's really, I want to stress how important it is keeping these clean and dry, and I find that it is an awfully fun technique. So again, thank you for watching, and we'll see you again.